Over to you, Emmett.
Hello, thanks Gareth, and thanks everyone, and especially to Opus for inviting us along today. Yeah, my name's Emmett, my pronouns are they, them, and I am part of the Foodhall community. I work as one of the volunteer coordinators. And what I really would like to do is to be doing this talk at Foodhall and invite you all down to come and have a look around. But I can't do that. But the closest thing I can do right now is to share with you a little video that was made before the pandemic. So this is kind of representative of what Foodhall was like in a previous life. But hopefully this will show you a little bit more about what we do.
Food is the way that cultures interact with each other beyond language. When someone comes into Foodhall, they experience a patchwork quilt of almost 100 different cultures.
The aim of the project is to bring everyone together, so it's creating a public space where anyone, regardless of who they are or what they have, can come and share together.
This breaks down the barrier between taking the service and using the service, so they encourage people to join in, like do some washing up, get to chat to everybody, just create a community really.
I think the most rewarding part of volunteering at Foodhall is just the genuine human connection that you get to feel. I feel most like myself, or like at least closest to who I want to be when I'm here.
It's one of the few things that allows people to come together but also share culture and meaning with each other. You're sharing something beyond food just by sharing food.
Great, I hope that worked for everyone. It's a bit difficult talking into the void. But yeah, so that's a little bit of, to give you more the feeling, I suppose, of what the Foodhall project is and what we do. So as a bit more background, we were set up in 2015 by just a group of people who wanted to do something differently, and they wanted to build a space around the values of the commons, equity and mutual aid as a way to tackle three things: food insecurity, food waste and social isolation. And that is what Foodhall grew out of. We operate on a basis that, you know, we're not a charitable, what we do is not charity. We're not sort of a one-way relationship. We don't have transactional relationships. There's as little of a barrier between people who come in to use Foodhall and people who are sort of delivering the service. Like, we try not to use the term service user at all. And what we have instead is a community. And we have a community where, along the principle of mutual aid, everyone has something to give to other people. Equity, people are treated equally and treated in relationship to their individual needs. And the commons, in that everybody has access, equal access to our shared resources as a community. And so the sort of core aspect of what we do is around food provision, and we cook hot meals to serve out to people based on food donations that we get in that would otherwise go to waste. So they've been donated by supermarkets and local food retailers and all sorts of places. But as well as our core work, we also try to provide a DIY space for the community to create whatever it is they want. So we have all sorts of different branch projects that go on, from a TV dinner club in normal times, a big art scene, so we do pottery, radio, art, theatre performances, exhibitions. There's a fermentation branch, Social Pickle, who sell things like kimchi and other fermented things that again are all made out of food that would otherwise go to waste. And we're also working on a food delivery project to sort of take what we're doing and what we're producing out into communities a little bit more. And at the minute we're in the process of moving buildings, and hopefully our new building is going to give us the space to expand and grow a little bit and maybe set up our own food growing as well. So there's a lot of people on this call who I think I need to have conversations with about that. And yeah, then as part of Foodhall, and from the people who founded Foodhall originally, grew the National Food Service campaign, which is two things really. It is at its heart a campaign to establish a centrally funded and delivered food provision service based around the provision of community-led dining spaces in every neighbourhood in the country, in order to tackle food insecurity, food waste and social isolation. But as well as that, as well as the campaign aspects of the National Food Service, it also acts as a network between similar groups to Foodhall, so things around the country that already existed that were operating along the same sorts of principles, but also new projects that have grown out of the National Food Service itself and with the networks and connections that are provided, and the support provided by that network. So there's branches in Bristol, Cardiff, Glasgow, Nottingham, all over the country. I think there's about 20, 25 branches now. Yeah, so that's the background really. And I've also been asked to speak about the sort of challenges that we face. But I thought to prefix that, I wanted to talk about one thing that I think is not a challenge and is not something we find difficult, which is to gather the enthusiasm, the energy and the time of individual people who are willing to contribute to the work that we do. Because, as I'll mention in a second, funding and resources are one of our big challenges, but in terms of people's time, we're so rich and there's such an enthusiasm to contribute to the work that we do. And because we operate on a contribute what you can basis, and we're never asking people for monetary donations for what we do, that's one way they can contribute if they want to, but people are always willing to contribute their time and energy and skills to the project. We get so many offers of people from all different kinds of backgrounds and professions, with all sorts of skills, who are offering to help us with what we do, and it's just amazing and really, really encouraging to see that kind of thing going on in our community. But yeah, to come back to some of the things that we do find challenging, as I said, funding and resources are quite a big one, especially at the minute. In normal circumstances, we would be getting some income from hiring out our space for events and things like that, which at the minute over the last year we've not been able to do. But as well as that, we have grant funding and individual sort of crowdsourced donations, which is the way that many projects like us operate, but it's not necessarily the most financially secure position to be in. And yeah, that's just a daily challenge. You know, I'd absolutely love for my job not to always be sort of prefixed with, will there be enough money to do this? But that is just the way that we operate in this system. And the other big challenge that I thought about was in terms of our ability to reach the people that actually need us. And this is sort of expressed in the fact that the community that we have around Foodhall is not really representative of the community of Sheffield as a whole. It's very white, and in terms of the sort of volunteer base that we have, it's mostly sort of young white university graduates. And in terms of the people that we work with, again, overwhelmingly white. And yeah, I think that sort of reflects the fact that we're not necessarily doing the best job at reaching out into a more diverse range of communities. I think partly because we rely on people being able to come to us rather than us going to them. Yeah, there's a few different things there. And then the third challenge I was thinking about is something I think maybe Martin mentioned it earlier on this afternoon, about this sort of hypocrisy in relying on food waste as a way to tackle food waste. In that, you know, what we do is great and we use up food that would otherwise be wasted and go into the bin. But actually, what we do almost legitimizes that system, and it puts us in a bit of a hypocritical position, in which we're legitimizing that system and sustaining it really. And so it's not a very secure position for us to be in, relying on food waste, when actually what we want is for there to be much less food waste. And I think there needs to be work done to sort of tackle the underlying systems and to change the way that our food is provided. And yeah, just to finish off, I want to talk about sort of how what we do fits into the work going on more widely across the city, and looking into the future, like what that can help us to achieve. And yeah, we already have amazing relationships with various different partners, other actors in the Sheffield food system, many of whom are represented here today. So we have people who donate food to us, such as Beanies and Osmonds and Foodworks, you know, various sort of different independent local businesses and food providers. We have worked with both the University of and Hallam in terms of research about what we do. We have collaborations with other sort of community hubs like ShipShape, the Ben Centre, Buzz, who we've sort of been working with in our food delivery project over the last 12 months. And so, yeah, really the sort of long-term vision is to build on these relationships to create a holistic food provision in the city that takes into account every individual's different needs. You know, all of the people in the city, all of us as individuals here today, everyone around us, yeah, the people I can see driving past in the street, you know, we all have different needs, and we're all reliant on different ways to provide our food, but also to provide our social provision as well. And all the services and organisations that we have in the city can cater to those different needs in different ways. And so it's sort of building communication and networks between us in order to adequately signpost and refer people to the right sort of organisations that are going to be able to work with them. And I think a really important part of that is to embody the relationships between our organisations that we want to see between the individual people in our city. So yeah, sort of embodying these mutual non-transactional relationships in order to break down the sort of barriers that we find ourselves in within the sort of capitalist system that we live in. And in this way, we can provide for all of the residents of Sheffield, and hopefully act as an example to the rest of the country, and get this going in other towns and cities across the UK, and again through these sort of networks like the National Food Service Network, expand this across the country. And you know, then it's only one step to full world domination where everyone is fed and happy and fully resourced, hopefully. So yeah, thank you very much for inviting me along today. It's been a real privilege to speak, and I'll pass you back over to Gareth.